Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to Jersey City Pilates. For today's class, we're going to need a block or a book will also work. We're going to be standing on it and resting it on your back, so don't do something that's too heavy if you don't have a yoga block itself. And this class will spend a bit of time on our backs, a little bit of time on our stomachs, so you can modify as necessary, and I will give those throughout in case you need to do so. We'll get started. All right, we will start sitting down on the ground. You can just have your feet out in front of you and take your block or book handy and just leave it towards the front of your mat by your feet. And then you're gonna bring your arms back behind you with your knees bent and feet planted flat on the floor. And then just bring your feet nice and wide, about as wide as your mat. And then just let your knees fall over to one side. Press through your hands so your chest is lifted and you're not slouching. And then lift your legs up and go up and over to the other side. And then a couple more times in each direction. You can go as slow or as quickly as you'd like. Again, pressing into your hands and keeping your chest lifted. Just noticing how one side may be tighter than the other. One more time. And then bring your legs together, bring your right hand behind your right leg, left hand behind your left leg, and then just find space where you're opening up the front of your hips, tucking your tailbone under, like you're lengthening your low back onto the floor, your sacrum really. And then let the arms come straight, pressing the thighs into the hands, and then curl yourself back up to sit nice and tall. Elbows will bend. And then keep pressing your thighs, letting them be heavy in your hands. And then round back halfway, sacrum towards the floor, giving yourself that space in the front of your hips. And again, just roll back up. Look like you have a little string on the top of your head pulling you up. And then again, round back. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. Your arms are doing something, but you don't want to be holding on for dear life. Keep your neck nice and long. Roll all the way back up. Two more. And then back up. And last one. And then pause here and you're gonna release your right hand and then your left hand. And you're just gonna come back an inch and then come forward an inch. And then back an inch and forward an inch. We have one more. And then again, you're just rolling down an inch, reach long through the fingertips, curl up. We're gonna do 4 more. Shoulders stay nice and relaxed. Again, your neck is long. Crown of your head reaching up towards the ceiling. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you come back, or the other, it doesn't matter, just breathe. And back up, last one. And then lift yourself all the way back up. You can press your shins into your hands, hands into your shins, and then think about lifting like the center of your chest, your collarbone or slightly below, up towards the ceiling. You may feel a little bit of extension through your upper back, just a little. And then come to sit up nice and tall. And then bring your hands back behind the thighs and roll back halfway one more time. Extend the arms nice and long once you have a good position. Feel your ribs draw towards one another, hips draw towards your ribs so you're nice and connected in the front. And then you're gonna float your right leg up and then lower it down. Left leg floats up and lower it down. And if this is too much for you, bring your hands to the floor. Just make sure if your hands are on the ground that you are supporting your body and you're not just sinking into your arms. 2 more to each side. Last one. And then grab on behind your thighs if you like, or keep your hands nice and long. And then roll back just till you're on the tips of your shoulder blades and bring your hands behind your head. You can leave your head, neck, and shoulders curled up. You can lay your head down on the ground, or you can come up into forearms, your choice. And you're just gonna extend your right leg long on the ground and then draw your knee up towards the ceiling, bend it in, and then switch sides. Keeping your hips nice and stable on the floor. Neck is long, pressing your head into your hands. Again, you can do this with your head flat on the ground, or you can come up on your forearms. If you're on your forearms, just make sure you're keeping that chest lifted. 2 more to each side. Trying to get a little resistance as you bring the leg back in. And this time you're going to extend your right leg long and then reach through the heel so you have a slight flex in your foot. Think more reach through the heel than pull back of the toes. And then you're just going to float that leg off the floor. And lower it back down, almost all the way to the ground, but not quite. And lift it back up. Lower down and lift for 5. 4, chest is lifted. If you're on the floor, if your hands are behind your head, continue to support your head. Make sure your chin isn't resting on your chest. 2. Last one, keep the leg lifted at whatever your top of range is. And then you're gonna bring it out to the right a little bit and then bring it to the center. And out to the right and into the center. 5 more. 4, 3, keeping the hips nice and still. Your left leg is totally still. Last one. And then bend that knee in, lay it all the way down, give it a little hug and extend your left leg long. Bring your right knee across your chest and roll, or gaze to the right, leg to the left. And just take a nice big inhale, exhale, feel your right shoulder continue to stay connected with the floor, opening up to the front of your chest and getting a stretch in your right glute. And then bring your leg back down, plant it on the floor, plant your left leg, hands behind your head, or lift your chest, whichever one you choose, and extend that left leg long. And again, you're just gonna float that leg up and lower down. And lift. And 5. And the reason you're thinking about reaching through the heel rather than pulling your toes back is you want to find that length out of the back of your leg as much as the length from the front of your leg. You don't want to shorten your quad. You want to think about lifting just from the back up. Last one, leave it lifted, open it out to the side and bring it back in. For 6. 5, keeping yourself nice and stable. 4, 3, 2. Last one, bring that leg into your chest and lower all the way down. Extend your right leg long this time, and then pull your right leg, not on my mat anymore, across your body. Your gaze can look to the left. Take a nice big inhale, and then exhale. Feel your left side relax down onto the floor, opening up to the front of the chest. And then bring your hands behind your thighs, hands behind your head. Let both legs in tabletop. And again, you can also do this with yourself on your forearms, your choice. You're gonna have both legs extend out long to a 45-degree angle and then resist and bend them back in. And then extend your legs long, bend them back in. If you would like a little extra challenge for the inner thighs, bring your block or book between your knees. You're gonna do 6 more. And again, you can do this on your forearms. 5, 4, drawing in the pelvic floor, feeling your abdominals descend towards the floor rather than puff up towards the ceiling. 3, 2, last one. Bring the knees back in. Block or no block, doesn't matter. You're gonna let your legs fall over to the right and then come back to the center. Twist up and over to the left, to the center. And again, you can do this with your hands behind your head. Your hips will lift up off the floor if that's comfortable, but your shoulders and weight in your upper body is staying cemented on the mat in like a neutral position. 2 more to each side. Last one to each side. If you have the block, go ahead and get rid of it for right now. And then you're gonna keep your knees bent and you're gonna tap your right foot down to the floor and lift it up, alternating sides. If your foot doesn't reach the ground, who cares? Think about keeping the shape of the leg so you're not just lowering your toe to the ground for 5. 4, think about keeping your femur nice and heavy towards the ground, almost like it rolls in your hip socket as you lower away. 2. Last one. Grab behind your thighs and rock yourself all the way up to sit tall. You can sit cross-legged or with your legs out in front of you, your choice. And then just put your right hand on the ground and side bend up and over to the right side. Bend your arm if you need, and then come up and over to the left. Your stretch should just feel good, whatever works for you in this position. And then come all the way up, and you're gonna come onto all 4s with your block. So bring your, actually we'll start with cat-cow. So just have your block near you at the top of your mat, hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. And then just feel your sit bones widen, feel your abdominals and your stomach descend towards the floor, but keep that connection between your ribs and your hips, and then lengthen your chest through your arms. Gaze will be slightly forward. Press your hands into the mat, as same with your feet, shins and knees, and then curl your tailbone under, draw your abdominals towards the ceiling, and then round your spine. Your gaze will come in at your legs. Widen the sitting bones, lift the tailbone, lengthen through the front of your body as you lift, and then round the spine back up towards the ceiling. And then come back through. We're gonna do 2 more, just go at whatever pace feels good. You wanna think about that rib to hip connection. So your abdominals are staying supported, same with your low back. You're not just crunching in the low back, you're keeping it nice and supported. And then back up. Last one. And then find a nice neutral position here. Grab your book or your block and then place it on your sacrum. And then bring your hands back down underneath you. And you're gonna find a nice supported neutral spine here. Think about the crown of your head reaching long away from your tailbone. Goal is to keep that block nice and still as we move. Extend your right leg back, let your toes stay on the floor, and then drag it back in underneath you. Keep your knee lifted. Press the right leg out, open up through the back of the knee, and then bring it back in. 4 more, just getting a little leg slide here, similar like we did on our backs to start. 2. Last one. Keep that leg long. You're gonna float it up and tap it down. You can look down at your hips, make sure that they're nice and square. Although if they're not very square, you'll probably lose whatever prop you're using. 3 more. 2. Last one, keep the leg lifted, bend it in underneath you. Don't let it touch the ground this time. Extend it long. Give your butt a little squeeze at the top, working through the whole leg back and front. Foot can be pointed, foot can be flexed, doesn't matter, whatever feels good. 2 more. Keep drawing your ribs towards one another, and then keeping that rib to hip connection supported through the front of your body. Last one. Leave your leg long, or if you need a little stability for a moment, drop your right leg towards the ground. Extend your left arm out in front of you, and you're gonna lift your right arm and right leg together for 6, 5, keeping nice and stable. 4, make sure there's a little tiny micro bend in that right arm so you're not hyperextending. 3, neck is long. 2, this one's 2. This one's last one, keep it lifted. Bend the knee and elbow. Don't round your back, stay in neutral. Extend. Bend and extend. 4 more. Almost done here. 3, 2. Last one, leave the arm and leg long and lifted. Open out to a diagonal. Bring it into the center. Last time diagonal to the center. 4 more. 2. Last one. Bring the hand down. Bring the knee down. You can take that block off your back if you need to shake out your wrists. Give your arm a little rest, whatever you need. Take a sip of water, which is what I'm going to do. And then come back into all fours. Again, placing, don't just throw the block at yourself, but gently place it on your low back. And then having your hands nice and stable under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, find that nice neutral spine. And then soften your elbows just slightly. Extend your left leg now back behind you. Toes graze on the ground. And then pull it back in for 6 more. Try to keep the knee lifted as you come back in. Working on shifting that weight as minimally as possible. 2 more. Neck is long, collarbone is wide, abdominals are supported. Leave the leg long, lift it up for 8. 7, pressing through your whole finger and hand. Use the palm of your hand, not just your fingers. For 3, 2, watch your weight shift. Last one, leave the leg lifted, bend it in underneath you for 6, 5. Thinking about reaching your sitting bone long behind you, bend the knee in, keeping that length through the back so you're not rounding your back. 1 more, I think. Leave the leg long. Extend your right arm out. Tap it down and lift for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Keep it lifted, bend it in underneath you for 6. Reach it long, 5. 4 more. Make sure your leg is going straight back behind you. Arms straight out in front of you. We'll do the little X in a moment. Last one. Extend everything long, open to the X for 6, 5. The diagonal, I don't know why, I just assume this is an X. It's more like a slash. 2. Last one. And then bring your hand down, bring your knee in underneath you. Grab the blocker book, put it in front of you, and then sit yourself back into a child's pose. And you can use the blocker book to rest your forehead on. And then just take a big inhale and exhale. Let yourself relax into the block, towards the floor. Press your hands into the ground and still think about lengthening through the neck so you don't have like an intense little weird bend. If the block is uncomfortable, just move it and rest your forehead on the floor. Think about your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. And 1 more big breath in. Nice lateral breath and exhale. And then walk yourself all the way back up. And you're gonna come to lay down on your left side. Take your block and plant it. I'm breaking. You're gonna put the wide side, you're gonna stand it up on its tallest height, and then the wide side is going to match the wide side of your mat. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can see. Not this way, the skinny way, the wider way. And then you're gonna lay down onto your left side. Right knee is going to be bent, and you're just gonna rest your right leg, right foot on top of the block, and you may need to move it forward or back a little, just wherever is generally comfortable for your foot to rest. And then you can support your head with your arm, and then just reach your right arm overhead. Reach long out of the fingertips of that right hand. Your shoulder will shrug up towards your ear. And then just find a little external rotation in your shoulder. Feel the connection between your ribs and your hips on that right side, and you'll start to get that space. And then you're gonna turn your palm away from you and reach that arm up towards the ceiling. And then just find the connection underneath the bottom side of your arm into your armpit and those ribs. And you can bring your hand up underneath your head. So your right arm is now working very hard. You can have your head supported on the floor, or like I'm doing right now. You're gonna lift your right leg up so that it is hovering above the block. And then you're gonna lift your leg even higher. And you're gonna lower it back down. Tap the block and lift. That right arm is doing work. You can think you're laying on a reformer. You have a strap in your hand, and you're just trying to hold the reformer still with that tension from the springs or a resistance band for 3, 2, last one. Find the hover of that leg above the block, and then you're gonna touch it down, internally rotate. So the toes are gonna touch in front of the block, lift from the heel, externally rotate if that feels comfortable, lower it behind the block. If you don't touch, doesn't matter, but you're just doing a little hot potato up and over the block. Then you're using your top arm to give you a little bit of instability. If you need to at any point, put that right hand down to give you more support on the ground. Even though you're internally and externally rotating your leg, your hip is generally not moving. You want to stay pretty still on the ground, hip bones facing forward. 2 more. Last one. Hold the leg above the block. You're gonna reach your right arm forward, your left leg or your right leg back. So they're reaching in opposition away from one another. And I'm gonna come up here onto my forearm. And then open up your chest. Bring the right arm back as you bring your right leg forward. And then switch, reach through the right arm, right leg. And then as that arm opens or reaches overhead, whatever is more comfortable. 2 more. Thinking about opening the chest, and then also opening up through the front of that hip. Last one. Good, and then bring the right leg back on top of the block and extend your left leg long in front of your block. Press your right foot down into the block. Feel the engagement through your inner thigh. You can use your right hand on the floor or lift it back up, whatever you prefer. And you're gonna lift your bottom leg up and then lower down. And lift and lower. I'm gonna give myself a little additional stability here. Again, make sure your hip points are pointing forward. Lifting from that inner thigh on the left leg for 3, 2, last one, and then lower that leg down. Lift the top leg, bring both legs one on top of the other, and then just kick your block out of the way. Right hand is gonna reach back up towards the ceiling, and you're gonna reach your arm towards your legs. Lift the legs as you lower the arm down, and then resist the legs down as you reach the arm back up. Your legs can be pitched forward in front if you need. Draw the abdominals or ribs rather, toward your hips as you lift and lower. 3 more. You can always lower your head down if you would like. 2. Last one. Hold here. Roll over onto your back. Reach your arms long. Reach your fingertips towards your toes. Lift up into teaser, grab onto the back of your thighs if you need. Once you're up, if you can let go, reach your fingertips towards your toes. Open up through the front of the chest. Just give your head a little shake, yes or no. And then you're gonna lower all the way back down. Grab on behind your thighs if you need, hands behind your head, and then roll back over onto the right side. Now we're gonna switch sides. So take your block. In the same general dimension as the mat, and then lay down onto your right side. Bottom leg is bent, top leg comes on top of the block. Again, adjust the block like forward or back, however you need. A little bit farther back. And then right hand lifts up. I'm gonna start with my head down. Lift your arm up overhead. Just get a little stretch, whatever feels nice. And then externally rotate from the shoulder. Feel the connection into the ribs underneath the arm. And then through the armpit into the underside of the arm itself as you press your arm away. So that arm is nice and active. You're gonna lift your left leg up and then lower it down. Lift the leg up and lower down for 8. 7, normally we kind of go the other range of motion. We do the floor up, something different today. Breathing as you move, hips are pointing forward. 3, 2, last one. Keep your leg lifted. You can float your head up if you like, or you can leave it resting on your arm, doesn't matter. Reach the left hand forward, reach the left leg back, rotate slightly, and then open up as you bring the leg forward. So as the hip opens, the chest closes. And then as the chest opens, you get a little hip flexion. I forgot the hot potato, we'll do that next. For 3, 2, should mostly just feel nice, but your butt and leg get to work a little too. Last one. Find that nice stable position at the top. Left arm feels like it's holding you in place. You're gonna tap your left toe down, internally rotate, lift it up, hot potato. And internally rotate and externally rotate. Again, hips point forward. Who cares if you reach the floor, if you don't reach the floor? Just pay attention to whether or not you have greater range of motion on one leg than the other. For me, the external rotation on this left side is way less than on the right side. But the internal rotation is easier. Doesn't make any sense. 2. Last one. And then find your foot on top of the block. Press down into it. Feel that left inner thigh engage. Bring the right leg long. Stabilize through the block. Bring your hand to the floor if you need. And then float the right leg up. And then resist to bring it up. For 7. 6, make sure your neck is in line with or head in line with your spine. Your neck is nice and long. You don't want your head to be rounded forward looking at your legs. I'm sure they're doing fine. 3, 2, last one. Lower the block down. Bring your legs together, stack one on top of the other. Left hand lifts up if it isn't already there. And then you're gonna float the legs up, hand down towards your legs, and then resist. And then lift and resist. You can feel the shortening of the rib and the hip connection on that left side, whereas on the right side, it gets a little longer. But you still want length in both sides. It's not like a crunch. 3 more. Oh, right, the arm. You got distracted with talking. Last one. Keep the arm long, legs long, roll over onto your back. Grab behind the thighs if you need. Roll yourself up to a teaser. Once you find yourself up top, let go through the arms if you can. Ribs are drawn in. Ribs connected to the hips so you're supported in the front of your body. Chest is nice and wide. You can even externally rotate your arms a little. And then you're gonna bring your right hand behind your head. I'm gonna grab behind my thigh. And you're gonna roll back onto your side. Gently let your legs lower. And then you're gonna come onto your stomach. And you don't need the block for this. And just have your hands underneath or right above your shoulders, just wider than shoulder distance. And you can externally rotate your legs. Let them be nice and long, pressing your hips down into the mat. Pelvis, nice and neutral, nice and heavy. Put a little bit of extra weight into your pubic bones so your low back is nice and lengthened. Nose just raises off the floor. And then press your hands into the floor. Think about pulling them back. Shoulder blades gently draw down your back and lift yourself up into extension. Then lower back down. This is not comfortable for me. If being on your stomach is not comfortable for you, you're gonna meet me in like a modified child's pose. And you're just gonna do the same motion with your arms and then think about lengthening through the low back. And then you can press your hands kind of into the floor again, like away from you as you come back to your neutral, and then lengthen your spine. Finding that extension in the upper back, much, much more than the lower back. We're gonna do 3 more. 2. And if you just don't feel like laying down on your stomach, you can obviously just do what I'm doing. Last one. Lift up this time. So you have your hands right by your shoulders. You're gonna lift your right arm up off the floor and then lower it back down. Lift the left arm off the floor. Lower it back down. Trying to keep yourself lifted in your little extension if you can. If you need to lift and lower in between each time, by all means do that. 1 more time to each side. Last one. And then from here, you're going to lower all the way back down. Give your hips a little bit of a shake from side to side. And then you're going to find that extension 1 more time. Bring your right arm up, extend it long. Left arm is still on the floor. Keeping yourself nice and square, you're gonna bend your right arm, keeping it lifted, and extend it long. Again, staying in that extension. Ribs are drawing towards your hips, even though you're lengthening the front of your body for 3, 2. Last one, lower that arm down. Lower your torso down. Give your hips a little bit of a shake, find that neutral, find a little additional press of your pubic bone into the floor, and then lengthen yourself all the way back up into that little extension. Right arm, or left arm this time, lifts off the ground. You're gonna extend it long, lower, or bend it in, not lower it. For 6, 5, tailbone is heavy. 4, just make sure you're not squeezing, holding on for dear life from the glutes. They should be working, but not doing all of the work. 2, and breathe, also breathe. Last one. Lower all the way down. Give your hips a shake. And then you're gonna extend your arms long out in front of you. Lift yourself up into your extension. Arms are long, legs are long, and you're gonna alternate right arm, left leg for swimming. I'm just in all fours going to do the alternating version. And take your time. You're gonna do about 8 to each side. And if it is too much for you to have everything lifted all at once, you're just gonna keep your hands on the ground, your legs on the ground, and just alternate which lifts, right and then left. I'll do 1 more to each side because this takes longer. Last one. And then regardless of where you're at, lower yourself down, press yourself back into child's pose. Rest your forehead on the ground. And then lift up and reach your hands over to the right side. Reach through the fingertips of both hands, but the right sitting bone a ton so you get that stretch through the right side of your body. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go. And then come through the center over to the left. Same thing. Little extra reach through the fingertips, through the left sitting bone. Inhale and exhale. Come back through the center. Grab your block with you. And you're gonna come down onto your back. We will end with some light things, bridging, and then a couple things standing. So bring your book or your block in between your knees. Make sure your head is firmly planted on the ground. Your arms can be lifted up towards the ceiling or pressing down into the floor, whichever you prefer. And then you're just gonna curl your tailbone under. Feel your low back press into the floor. Peel yourself up one vertebrae at a time. Reach long through the knees. Shoulder blades stay more or less on the floor. And then just externally rotate through the upper arm so your collarbone is nice and wide. And then peel yourself all the way back down one vertebrae at a time. Release to neutral and peel back up. And back down. 2 more. Just going at your own pace here. Your feet are firmly planted into the floor, heels drawing towards your shoulders. Stay lifted at the top. You're gonna drop your hips halfway down and lift up. Drop them down and lift. Giving that block a little bit of a squeeze. And for 4, 3. Again, your arms can be lifted if you prefer. 2. Last one, and peel yourself all the way back down. Grab the block or book and lift your head up, and don't change your legs at all. As best you can, just lift the right leg up, slide the block underneath, and then lay back down. This way your legs are more or less in the right position for you to continue bridging. So left foot on the floor, right foot on the block. Feel that engagement in the back of the hamstring, a little tiny pull almost of your heel toward your torso, just so that the block or book doesn't go anywhere. Curl the tailbone under, lift yourself up. Once you find that nice supported position in your bridge, you're gonna drop your hips and lift for 5. 4, we're gonna do a couple of moves. We're gonna do 5 of each of them. 2, last one, pause here. Lift the left leg up into tabletop. Tap the toe down and lift for 5. 4, weight is evenly distributed across your chest. 3, hips are square. 2, last one, pause with the leg lifted. Extend the leg long, bend it in for 5. 4, make sure your hips are lifted, your abdominals are doing thing and supporting you. 2, last one, leave it long or bend it into tabletop, your choice. You're gonna go out to the side and back in. If your leg is long, you're doing that little diagonal that we did before. 3, 2, last one. Extend the leg long, extend it all the way to the floor. Tap the hips down. Bring your knee into tabletop and then lift the hips back up. From here with your left leg in tabletop, if you can have it all the way over your knee, that's great. If you need to bring it in more toward your chest, by all means, I need to at the moment. Hands can be lifted too. You're gonna drop your hips and lift for 10 this time. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 more. 3, 2, last one. Lower the left leg down. Lift the arms up overhead if it's comfortable. Reach long through the fingertips and peel yourself down one vertebrae at a time. Really curl the tailbone under as you lengthen. Float the arms up, and then just scooch the block over to the other side. So same sequence, arms up or lifted, your choice. You're gonna peel yourself up one vertebrae at a time, feel that connection in the back of that hamstring, and then you're gonna drop the hips and lift for 5, 4, 3, using both feet, 2, last one, pause at the top. Bring the right leg into tabletop, do a little toe tap for 5, 4, 3, left leg stay still, 2, last one, pause with the leg at the top, extend long for 5, 4, 3, again, arms can lift if you'd like to. Last one, leg can stay long or be bent. You're gonna do that little diagonal move for 3, 2, collarbone is wide, last one. Pause with the leg there, extend it long, drop it to the floor, lower the hips all the way down, bring your knee into your chest, lift up. 10 pulses for 10, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, I'll do 2, and last one, lower your arms overhead, drop that leg, peel yourself all the way down one vertebrae at a time. Bring the block between your feet. Give it a little squeeze. Bring your hands behind your head. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders up. Feel your abdominals descend towards the floor. Let your hips be heavy. You're in a neutral pelvis. Lift the blocker book up. And if you can, you're going to place it back down on the ground. Again, you can do this on your forearms. And then you're going to lift it up, back down. 2 more. Last one. Lower it down. Squeeze the block. Extend the arms up overhead. Press the arms forward. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Grab behind the knees if you need. Extend your legs long and come all the way up. Ideally, you cannot move your feet, but clearly, who cares? It doesn't matter. You're gonna come to stand. Okay. And then, we're running out of time, so bring your block into the center of your mat. And you're gonna stand on it with your right foot. The left leg is gonna come to hover. Find your balance as best you can. Make sure that this knee isn't hyperextended. You want a soft bend. And then you're gonna bend that right knee slightly, lift the left leg back behind you, and then bend that knee in and extend. You can extend your arms overhead. You can have them on your hips, whatever in front of you. You're gonna do 5 more. 3, 2, working on balance here a little. Last one. Keep the leg long. Lower it down into a little lunge. And then bend both knees. So you're more or less in 90-90. Your knee can be a little bit over your toes, that's fine. Lift up and down. Hold on to something if you need. 3, 2, last one. Bend through that right leg, shoot the left leg back behind you. Bring your left leg into tabletop as you stand tall. Externally rotate through the leg and bring it out to the side, and then bring it back center. So you're externally rotating and center. 2 more. Last one. And then you're bringing that leg nice and long, and you're just opening it out to the side and back in. And to the side and in. For 6, 5, again, hold on to something if you need. 4, 3, 2, Last one. And lower that leg down. Switch feet with the block. So now your left leg comes on top. Find that spot where you are nice and square and balanced. A little bend in your left leg. Hinge forward. Find your balance here. Hold on to something if you need. Bend that knee in underneath you. Press it up. And extend. Bend. Extend. Nice. Neck is nice and long. Spine is nice and long. 2 more. Last one. Lower that leg down. Find a little lunge here. 90-90 lunge. Both knees bend and extend. Bend and extend. Keeping that right leg nice and open through the hip. Slight tuck of the pelvis. Chest is lifted. You can pitch slightly forward if you need, but just make sure you're not rounding. 2. Last one. Shoot forward, float the right leg up. Bring it to tabletop. Externally rotate from tabletop. Both your hip bones stay pointing forward. You're not rotating from the bottom leg. Just the right leg. 5 more. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Lower that leg down besides your left. Open out to the side for 10. Hips stay square. 5. 3. 2. Last one. And then lower that leg down. Press your block off to the side. And come back to the back of your mat. Reach your arms up overhead. Grab opposite arm, opposite elbow. And then just round forward over your legs. Let your knees be nice and soft. Crown of your head reaches towards the floor through your arms. And then lengthen your arms. And walk yourself out into a plank. Your choice, full plank or forearm plank. Go knees, sorry, not forearm. Knees or toes, but we're gonna do push-ups, so you need to be on your hands. Lengthen through the crown of your spine, tuck your tailbone under. Reach out of your chest as you lower down for 10. 9. Press away, using your whole hand. Your elbows shoot back towards your hips. Keep the tuck of your pelvis. Reach out of your toes or your heels, depending on what position you're in, for 4. 3, shoulders are relaxed. You can bend your arms as little as much as you need. Last one. Pause at the top, tuck the toes under, find your perfect plank. Yours, whatever that looks like today. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Bend your knees as much as you need. Feel your chest reach towards the floor. Shake your head out. And then walk yourself back to find that ragdoll hanging position. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, just hang for 1 more second. And then next time you exhale, draw your ribs toward your hips. Roll yourself up 1 vertebrae at a time. Reach your arms up overhead. Hook your thumbs. Side bend up and over to the right. Root down through your left foot. Neck is long. To the center. To the left. Root down toward your right through your right foot. And then come back up towards the top. Externally rotate your arms. Feel the connection in your ribs across your back, broadening your chest, and then press your hands down like you're a corkscrew. Crown of your head grows nice and tall towards the ceiling. Now have the hips. And your arms can relax by your side, and you are all finished. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good day.